I can feel it rising, all the joy that's growing deep inside of me.
Right now we're at the beginning of our series of 40 Days of Love. And the materials are available on the side of the table there. There is a book entitled The Relationship Secret of Jesus Christ. And there's a workbook, 40 Days of Love, that can be used in a small group. Later on, commitment cards will be given out in order for us to be able to respond in whatever capacity that we can, so that we can grow together deeper in love with God and with one another. And so, we're going to focus today on the first 3 verses of 1 Corinthians 13. And hopefully, by the end of March, we will be able to memorize the whole chapter of 1 Corinthians 13. So I believe that as we read verse by verse and chapter by chapter in the coming weeks, we are going to familiarize ourselves with this wonderful chapter. And so 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verses 1 to 3 tells us, "If I speak in tongues of men and of angels, but have not love, I am only a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have a faith that can move mountain, but have not love, I am nothing. If I give all I possess to the poor and surrender my body to the flame, but have not love, I gain nothing." So the beginning of 1 Corinthians chapter 13, Paul is laying down the importance of love. He's saying, despite whatever gifts, whatever abilities that we may have, if there's absence of love in our heart, we are nothing. And so today we're going to talk about love in action. We're going to talk about that love as without action, it is not real love. And that's why in this verse, the first 3 verses, we see that Paul begins to talk about certain gifts that people are running after, especially in the times today. Gina-highlight nila that they exaggerate to the degree that people are saying, if you don't have these gifts, there's something wrong with you. If you don't have these gifts, then maybe you're not mature. And some would even go all the way in saying, if you don't have this gift, you may not even be a Christian. I've heard certain people who said, if you are not speaking in tongues, maybe you're not a Christian. But we have to understand that Paul here is trying to lay down the importance of gifts to the Corinthian church in 1 Corinthians. Why? Because the Corinthian church also fell into that same problem. They have given so much importance to gift that there is no love in their church. So the Corinthian church is a church of great problems. There is marital unfaithfulness. There is immorality. There is idolatry. There is drunkenness. There are so many problems in the church of Corinth that Paul has to deal with it. In fact, Paul said, you people are puffed up. You people are hard-headed. Paul has to be drastic. Paul has to be direct with this church because he experienced great frustration in what this church is going through. And Paul began to talk about spiritual gift in its rightful place. In 1 Corinthians chapter 12 and chapter 14, Paul talks about spiritual gift. And that's why if we come to 1 Corinthians 13, Paul took a break in order to talk about the value of love or the importance of love. Because despite whatever spiritual gift one may manifest, if there's no love, that person is nothing. That's why Paul said, if a person speaks in tongues of men and of angels, and people say, wow, but that person is without love, whatever that person speaks is just noise or clanging cymbal. How many of you have heard clanging cymbal? If you're not familiar with cymbal, you can get a caldero and clang it, and the sound will be similar. Or in our context, clanging caldero. But what is the noise there? Is it nice? A cymbal on its own is just noise. Only when it is combined with other instruments will there be beauty in music. So a person who speaks in tongues without love is just like that. Just noise, clanging cymbal. And Paul continued to say, if I have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all mysteries and all knowledge, if I can explain the mysteries of God, but have not love, I am nothing. If I have faith that can move mountain, how many of us can say we have faith that can move mountain? You know, the Bible says if we have faith as small as a mustard seed, we can do great things. Our faith is have not even reached a point of moving mountain. But Paul says, even if you have that kind of faith that you can move mountain, if you don't have love, you are nothing. And Paul said, even if I give all I possess to the poor, and even surrender my bodies to the flame, what does it mean? Even if I die for Jesus Christ, but if I don't have love, everything is in vain. So Paul is highlighting the importance of love in everything that we do. Now again, Paul is not diminishing the importance of spiritual gift, because in the last verse of chapter 12, 1 Corinthians, this is how he said, but eagerly desire the greater gift. And in the first verse of chapter 14, the following chapter, Paul said, follow the way of love and eagerly desire spiritual gift. So Paul is telling the Corinthian church, I am not saying that spiritual gift is not important. I am not saying that you don't need spiritual gift. Paul said, the truth is, you have to desire, you have to pursue spiritual gift. You need it in order to be able to serve God. But why do you pursue spiritual gift? Why do you need spiritual gift? Because of the motivation of love that you want to minister to others. You want to help other people. Because you have love for other people, you want to minister to them, you want to help them. Therefore, you desire spiritual gift because you know that you need the gift of God to be able to effectively minister and serve other people. And so there are three things we'd like to learn about love today as we launch our 40 Days of Love. And we're going to go through 1 Corinthians 13 in the coming weeks as we deepen our understanding of what true love is. So first of all, love is action. Love is action. You don't just say you love somebody and do nothing. When you say you love somebody, there's always action involved. There's always something that you do. In 1 Corinthians chapter 16, verse 14, the Bible says, do everything in love. Do everything in love. Now the Bible doesn't say show or let your feeling, let there be feeling. But the Bible says you do it. So in everything that you do, let's do it in love. In 1 John 3:18, the Bible tells us, dear children, let us not love with words or tongue, but with action and in truth. That's what the Bible tells us. So therefore, love is action, not just emotion. Now here's something I'm going to tell you, that at the beginning, maybe, you will be shocked or surprised. Acting in love when you don't feel it is a greater demonstration of love. Acting in love when you don't feel it is a greater demonstration of love. Now maybe the first impression that comes into your mind is, ano na, maplastikanay ka? Are we going to pretend? Now let me share with you a story. There was a wife who went to a minister, and that wife was saying, you know, I don't want my marriage anymore. I don't like my husband anymore. I do not only want to get rid of him, I want to get even. So before I divorce him, I want to hurt him so much that he will never forget what I did. And so the minister received wisdom, probably from the Lord, and the minister told the wife, okay, this is what I suggest that you do. For the next 1 month, or probably 40 days, 40 days, yeah. For the next 40 days, show your husband that you love him. Tell him that you love him. Tell him the things that you appreciate about him. Do your best to express your love to your husband. And after 40 days, this is what you do. Drop the bomb on him and tell him you want to divorce him. And I guarantee you, he will never forget that. And the wife told the minister, that's a great idea. That's wonderful. I will do that. And so she went home. She did exactly that. She tried her best to show that she loved her husband, cook for her husband, did everything for the husband, appreciate the husband, so on and so forth. 40 days after, the minister was waiting for the wife to call. There was no call. And so the minister called up the wife. Okay, excuse me, are you going to push through with your divorce? The wife replied, you know what? I pretended that I love my husband. But then I realized I really love him.